call.
Jizzle.
Aye.
Neal.
Aye.
Olson.
Here.
Luce.
Here.
Zittergruen.
Here.
Hadley.
Here.
Johnson.
Here.
Is there anybody in the public that would like to speak now on an item that is not on the agenda?
Thank you. Thomas Hanson, 3469 Locust Road, Decorah. A bit over a week ago, we gathered to celebrate the 35th annual Decorah Community Thanksgiving Dinner. My friends Jim and Barb Dale, who started this meal, were delighted at the scope and longevity that this event has achieved in uniting not only the community through the 440 plus meals we served, but also through the volunteering and sacrifices of so many individuals and businesses, without which it would have never happened. If you wish to talk about diversity, equality, and inclusion, it was on display at its finest that day. I cannot say the same about your flag policy, however. Through giving preferential and arbitrary treatment to one public group while trampling on the free speech rights of every other public group, you promote division and bitterness that destroys the unity that 100 Thanksgiving meals would create. The hypocrisy of it was taken to a new height when Ms. Neal stated only one flag, the American flag, should be flown to represent the ideals of this nation, then seconded the motion and voted to adopt the current policy, making it take on an air of elitist bias and fascism. The only thing worse is running away from a challenge to this policy. After amending my citation 10 minutes before our first trial to not having a sidewalk dining and retail sales permit, I took the necessary steps to apply for said permit, only to have it be denied. Now I am told it will be approved. Maybe that is because it would have been a unique experiment at the next trial for the city to try to make a case of giving me a citation for not obtaining a permit that was unobtainable. For 23 years, I have been in charge of putting on the Decorah Community Thanksgiving Dinner. I know what unity looks like. Your flag policy does not promote it and needs to be changed. Thank you.
Thank you. Consent agenda.
Item A, minutes of the November 20, 2023 meeting. B, claims. C, tax abatement for 2401 Aspen Lane Road, Jason Gazlenga. D, appointment of Cattell Paulson to the tree board. Kettle, thank you. E, reappointment of Ann Mansfield to Sustainability Commission. F, reappointment of Ryan Delaney and Megan Buckingham to the Planning and Zoning Commission. G, FY23 Street Finance Report. H, resolution delegating the Title VI coordinator and ADA coordinator responsibilities from the mayor to city manager. I, special event 5K Freedom Run Tacticam. J, renewal special class C retail alcohol license for the Luther College, the Center for the Arts.
Move to approve the consent agenda.
Luce with second.
Moved by Olson, seconded by Luce. Any further discussion? Seeing, hearing none. Roll call.
Olson.
Aye.
Luce.
Aye.
Jizzle.
Aye.
Neal.
Aye.
Zittergruen.
Aye.
Hadley.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Motion carried. Resolution approving amended development agreement with WSSA Decorah VA LLC.
Okay, so this is, the short of this is an amendment to the previous development agreement. This is the VA clinic being constructed. Again, it's a commercial development with the VA as the holding a lease with the building, so it will generate property taxes for Decorah. They did not receive federal approval from the VA until just 2 months ago, so they are way behind schedule for construction. This amended agreement will push back all the checkpoints for timeline 1 year, and then increase the administration and legal costs that we can recover from $10,000 to $11,500.
Hadley will move approval of the amended development agreement.
Second.
Motion made by Hadley, seconded by Neal. Any further discussion? Seeing, hearing none, roll call.
Hadley,
Aye.
Neal,
Aye.
Olson,
Aye.
Luce,
Aye.
Zittergruen,
Aye.
Johnson,
Aye.
Chisel.
Aye.
Resolution approving park facilities parking regulations.
Okay, this came up as a result of a contractor parking equipment in one of our, or not just one, but some of our park facilities in the parking lot storing equipment, received a complaint on it. Staff thought this was a great way to address that issue. The complaint actually came from another contractor that said, well, I can save thousands of dollars every year if I can store my equipment in the city's parking lot as a yard too. So in order to not have that happen, the staff took to the park board some options. Park board is recommending council set parking restrictions that were no overnight parking unless otherwise authorized. That was the motion made and approved at park board. So in order to make that more enforceable, time constraints are put in this resolution. All city parks are closed by 11 p.m. So parking restriction would kick in at 11 p.m. until 4 o'clock a.m. the next day. The unless otherwise authorized portion, the Parks and Rec director or their designee would be able to authorize parking. Thoughts being Will Baker for overflow parking from the campground as well as the campground itself. So that's the authorized parking. We could also potentially have, my understanding is Luther in the past had utilized the pool parking lot for overflow during special events, things like that. That could also be an authorized parking, but again, it would be the Parks and Rec director that could authorize that.
Motion to approve the resolution?
Second.
Motion made by Olson, seconded by Chisel. Any further discussion? Hearing, seeing none?
I just want some
Okay.
clarification on this. So this is essentially you can't park overnight on city property except for the Will Baker.
In Park and Rec facilities,
Right.
and the Will Baker would be like if you're overflow camping there. So for example, if I park my vehicle out at Will Baker and I leave it overnight, but I'm not camping out there, because campground hasn't put me there, that's not authorized. That's not allowed.
So you get a little sticker because the campground put you
You
there?
could get a parking ticket, correct?
And the only problem we've had with this so far has been people who are storing equipment there. Or do people stay overnight there?
So, I'll just put it bluntly, that's what I do best. So, my parents always told me nothing good happens after 2 a.m. So,
Midnight.
right?
Midnight is what I tell my
Now
kids,
that I'm older.
Mine
but-
was a
Yeah.
little stricter, yeah.
But what this would allow also is if a car is parked in Will Baker, in a park, in Phelps Park, at 2 o'clock in the morning, the police can at least go up and investigate and be like, hey, what's this car doing here at 2 in the morning? Not saying that we're going to be slapping tickets left and right. You know, it's not a blitzkrieg for parking in parks, but yes, it is to prevent the storage of equipment in parking lots, but it also does give some reasonable suspicion to PD as well.
Okay.
Okay, roll call.
Olson,
Aye.
Chisel,
Aye.
Luce,
Aye.
Zittergruen,
Aye.
Hadley,
Aye.
Johnson,
Aye.
Neal.
Aye.
Motion carried. Resolution approving engineer services agreement with McClure Engineering for airport solar project.
The airport was awarded a grant for $166,000 and change that included the engineering It is a 90-10 grant match, 90% federally funded, so the contract price, I know it seems very large as an overall percentage of the project. Anytime you insert the FAA and federal regulation, these engineering requirements are just astronomical. But, so the $60,760 engineering service contract price, the local match would be $6,076. I did do a qualification search through the Airport Commission. McClure Engineering was the only one to submit for consideration.
Luce would move the agreement. Second.
Motion made by Luce, seconded by Olson. Any further discussion? Hearing seen none. Roll call.
Luce,
Aye.
Olson,
Aye.
Zittergrun,
Aye.
Hadley,
Aye.
Johnson,
Aye.
Chisel,
Aye.
Neal.
Aye.
Motion carried. Resolution approving plat of surveyed Dalen property.
Okay, so plat of survey needs to be approved by council since it's within the city limits and it is splitting a parcel, whether it's creating 3 in one swoop or through subsequent divisions, it does require a plat of survey to be recorded. So P&Z met previous to this meeting and did vote to recommend approval by the council. What this action will do is, once approved, the plat can then be recorded, and it'll create the parcel that the city has a purchase agreement with Alan and Patricia Dalen for the rear half of 20.5, or rear portion of 20.5 acres that the city is acquiring out of the whole 30. So this creates that split, can be recorded, abstract updated, still be in time, planned to be on time for that December 20th closing date.
Luce would move acceptance. Second.
Motion made by Luce, seconded by Olson. Further discussion? Hearing seen none.
You'll get used to it.
Could you interpret that, please?
Roll call.
Luce?
Aye.
Olson?
Aye.
Zittergrun?
Aye.
Hadley?
Aye.
Johnson?
Aye.
Chisel?
Aye.
Neal.
Aye.
Motion carried. Fiscal year 25 budget calendar and goals.
Okay, so main thing for this, first I'd like council to discuss a couple of proposed meeting dates for a budget work session. I do have a draft. Carrie and I sat down, went through the changes with House File 718 and the taxpayer statement hearing is what we're calling it. That has a March 15th deadline that we need to have something sent to the county so that the auditor can then send out a notice on the city, school, county. I think that's it. I don't think it includes hospital. But they send out a notice to all the taxpayers within the county. So that's our first checkpoint. We have to have something up to the county by March 15th. And full budget approval and submittal to the state needs to be done by April 30th. So using those two checkpoints as hard reference points, we worked backwards from March 15th to see when we would need to start budget work sessions. Have 4 that we've put in there as proposed. Based on last year, we did it on a Tuesday and a Thursday. So January 16th and 18th or January 23rd and 25th would give us sufficient time on the staff level to make revisions, bring back in front of council for further consideration, allow staff to go back, revise further. This will essentially give council 2 checkpoints or 2 revisions after the budget work session before we have to set that taxpayer statement public hearing. So anyway, throwing out those 2 weeks as a whole, that window is probably the best as far as the whole time frame goes. But again, those were Tuesday and Thursdays were the dates that we used last year.
I like the 23rd and 25th because it gives us more time to digest if the 11th is the target of giving us our packets.
I also am not available the 18th.
You were not.
Correct.
Okay.
So
Okay.
I'm also hoping for the second set.
Sure. Any of them will work for me.
My only recommendation was to go with the earlier ones, just in case we need more time, but if it doesn't work for other people, that's fine with me.
Because we would have the 29th too, if we needed to.
Right.
If we did the 23rd, 25, and for some
Right.
reason we needed one, we'd have that
Right,
fifth
right.
Monday. I'm fine with
That's
it.
giving staff like 4 hours to turn and burn any revisions, though.
I know. Well, I mean, I think I agree a little bit with Ross in terms of getting the books on the 11th. It's a hard turnaround to
Or Excel spreadsheets, whatever we're getting.
Excel spreadsheets. Yeah.
Everybody's on board with digital, right?
Fine.
Yeah.
I mean,
Fine.
that's what we heard last year,
Yep.
that with the books going out, the digital, with the book tabs,
Yeah.
staff have been given explicit instructions on how to save files so that the book tabs will make, work even better next year.
You're gonna pay for my
Good.
Tylenol when I have to look at the.
Here's
my
an even
computer
more
screen?
important question.
We can print off a copy.
No,
in
no,
full,
I'm just,
but
first-
the
So do
I
we-
will make it work. I will
Can we make
it
sure that the meeting on the 1st of January includes the new rules for council work sessions and payment to council?
work. We won't be having one. for the
Speaking
first.
of that, right? Because we have to pass it again.
No.
Okay.
Oh, it's
no,
already
it
passed
just goes
twice?
into effect. You're talking
Oh.
the change in the.
Yeah, but I thought the old council had to pass it and a new council had to pass it.
Nope.
Oh,
And we have the option to get a book, printed book.
We can print out a copy.
You're the
if
mayor.
it's
You
requested.
can do whatever you want.
You can get it.
That's good.
But what
I
it would,
want a printed one.
I mean, before, what used to happen is each individual tab within
know.
that would be printed off, and then
Right.
staff would go through and fill in, I don't know, what, 15 different binders with all the different files.
I
But
tell you
anyway,
what, I promise to look at it
once we
to see if I
assemble it
can-
all together,
You're gonna like
if
the
you do
tabs.
want a hard
Oh,
copy,
okay.
let us know. We can get you a hard
No,
copy.
we
I'll
could meet and
work
I'll help
with
you
it.
go through it because it is
Thank
really
you.
helpful with the tabs.
Okay. Okay.
I just want to, so I'm hearing last week, and I did reach out. I know Brent Parker, he wasn't able to be here tonight. He said the 16th and 25th would be open for him. 16th would work best, but pretty flexible. So I don't know if Christopher, since he'll be on council, if he's got availability that last week, or not last, the second week there. Everything's open.
I'm not available any of those days.
Wah, wah, wah.
Moving right along.
Okay,
Is there other ones that would work better for you? Kurt?
so
It's
I should
6
be writing the
o'clock, by the way.
23rd and 25th on my calendar.
Yep, that's it.
Okay.
That works best for me.
Okay. Vacancy on Telecommunication Board, Human Rights Commission, that's still open.
Mayor,
What time?
I apologize. Time-wise, does anyone object to like a 5 p.m. start time? Does that work?
You're talking about the 23rd and 25th?
Or do you want to do it later, give time for people to eat? Or do you want to get here, get through it, then break with some of the night left?
If we could do 5:15, that would help me just because it's hard to get here at 5 and feel prepared for anything.
Same for me, except 5:30 is even better, just because that way I don't have to bring my kids here.
Flexible.
Although they love budgets, so it's
5:15? Okay, that sounds good.
And also secondly, just because it's on the agenda, I want to give council, if there's some kind of guidance you want to give us as far as the budget prep goes, to voice it now, if it's a specific goal you have, if there are certain documents you want us to include in the budget files that'll go out. One, to have this as a placeholder for now, go ahead and talk about them as well.
So what did we say?
Will you- so-
5:15 or 5:30?
Said 5:15.
I assume that I think you said roughly 150,000 more to cut.
I hate throwing a
Okay.
number out there, but based on House File 718, the change from that to what it would have been, yeah, it's probably around that number.
I mean, it would be, I guess, and you might have already been doing this, but I do like the options, like this is if we do A, this is if we do B, in terms of, I know that staff will work really hard, and probably sacrifice quite a bit. And so it would be nice if we had an understanding of how that worked pretty well. Just
Okay.
I guess I will say this before going into budget session. This is my fear. And I said it last year, but I believe that there is an effort to make government look incompetent through deaths by 1,000 cuts. And I want, as I think about budget season, I don't want us to sacrifice and cut to the point that we think we aren't going to serve the public well, and the public will get irritated and say, our government is broken, our council is broken, they can't do anything right. I just think that you can hide the deficits easily by just everybody tightening their belt and taking it, but that doesn't let people understand how politics is working in our state right now. So I guess in my mind, when we think about all the cuts we need to do, I would keep that in mind, right? That I don't want to see our city die by death by 1,000 cuts. If we have to let something go, then we should let something go, and the public should be aware of, we're letting this go because the state is not properly funding city governments, and the state is limiting local control. And the state has their hands in all of the things we do in a manner that prevents us from serving our public in the best way we know how. So I guess I just want to give that as we approach budget season.
Okay.
Well said, Emily, well said.
Anything else? Okay.
And feel free to send individual thoughts, comments to me as well.
Okay.
Especially relates to if you want to see certain data presented in a particular way.
Okay, we're on to reports.
I'll keep mine short. Two things. One, want to remind for everybody in attendance tonight and those out on Zoom, every year you need to submit a notice for request of meeting notices. So as far as the media goes, we'll get you a form to fill out. We'll be sending that out. We're going to change it so it will no longer say you got an email from copier at City Hall. It'll actually come from a person with an agenda on it, and might even say what the agenda is for in the subject line. So big changes here. So that's one. So anyway, reminder for everyone that wants to continue to receive that notice, fill out the form, get it to City Hall. Very important that we have all that information correct as we move forward. Second thing, do want to share, some of you have heard these numbers before, but housing has always been talked about. We talked about the goal setting session. Did have numbers given to me that were, this is information gathered from the MLS from 2023 and 2019. So in 2019, an average home in Decorah, there were 169 homes sold. The average home was on the market 154 days and sold for $185,000. That was 2019. 154 days, sold for $185,000. In 2023 so far, there have been 93 homes sold, on market an average of 30 days, and the average has sold for $306,000. And this is not unique to just Decorah, even within Winnebago County, Calmer, 2019, 9 homes sold, averaging $90,000. And in 2023, so far, 11 homes have sold for an average of $150,000. Yeah, I've got, I don't have 2019 data for like Austin, West Union, Waukon, Cresco, but numbers and amount sold very similar. But Austin, 6 have sold for $165,000. West Union, 35 sold. Those are averaging 85. Waukon, 25 sold for $124,000. And Cresco, 37 sold, averaging $165,000.
Where did you get that information?
This was Marla Clokey, who's on P&Z, actually compiled it, but I know this, Mike Hinker has spoke about this data before. And so that's, she put it all together for me and left it, so wanted to share those numbers. That's it.
Carrie? Back, sure.
Just wanted to let the council know that the police department has offered a conditional offer of employment to Colton start date somewhere between December 18th and December 22nd. Very excited. Secondly, just wanted to let you know that we had a situation occur the end of October, beginning of November that involved the school district here in town. And so we had a meeting just this past Thursday with some decision makers and stakeholders of the Decorah Community School District. And we really presented as a unified command structure with myself, Sheriff Dan Marks, and Emergency Management Sean Snyder. And it was just a really great cohesive meeting where we just talked about all the things that went right, and we really didn't have anything that went wrong. They were very pleased with the law enforcement response, and I think that they really feel like they've partnered very well with law enforcement and emergency management. And so going forward, as we start looking at emergency operations plans for the school as well as for law enforcement, I think that's going to be a partnership as we develop this. So just want to let you know that as well. So.
Thank you. Anything else back there? Okay, Kark,
Nothing.
Ross,
Nothing, ma'am.
Stephen,
I'm good.
Stephen.
You didn't take your half hour? You said you were gonna have a half hour.
Did not.
There'll be a SMID meeting on Wednesday, so I'll be going to that for the last time. You will need a new SMID liaison for the future. Other than that, I have nothing except to wish everyone a happy December and a joyous holiday.
Kirsten,
I was just gonna say that I did participate in that Thanksgiving community dinner. Tom Hansen stole most of my thunder that I was gonna talk about, but no, he does a wonderful job with what he does with that. My wife and I did volunteer and helped him deliver meals, and I helped organize that part of it. We delivered, I think, 230 meals for people that day, and I think approximately 200 people ate at the Catholic Church. So I just wanna thank the churches for participating and all the people that did help volunteer and make that a really successful thing. That's it.
Emily?
Two things that my brain just paused there for a moment, which is never a good thing. I did tell one of my constituents that I would talk a little bit about the SMID and signs. I know for our downtown businesses, Travis and I have been emailing, but trying to figure out a scenario where we could have some kind of signage downtown to point people into the direction of businesses on side streets. I'm trying to figure out if there's an option for that. So I don't know if other people want to join me in thinking about how we could do that, Travis, sometime before SMID maybe is willing to do it.
Well, Upper Explorerland is working on our wayfinding plan right
Yeah.
soon. So if we can add those traffic boxes area to the Upper Explorerland potential inventory of sign placement,
Whereas-
maybe they could, being planners, maybe they could come up with a solution.
Well, I feel like it's in SMID, right? I mean, SMID has the kiosks, right?
Right, but there are,
Downtown Betterment, actually.
Oh, downtown Betterment.
Or a Downtown Betterment Association.
and those are, I mean, I believe those structures are at the end of their life cycle.
Right.
And the control boxes are ours. And I guess I would prefer from an engineering street standpoint, not to have them covered again from a access standpoint.
Okay.
So maybe Upper Explorerland could come up with something
So then we would put,
clever that wouldn't cover the whole.
and so then we would take
traffic
over control
device.
of putting something downtown?
I'm not saying that. I'm
Okay.
saying that Upper Explorerland is looking into wayfinding, and that may be a possible spot for signage.
So, real quickly, Carrie pointed out, we don't have an agenda from SMID yet, and I know that they do typically take the winter months off, and so I thought at the last meeting that they said they were gonna meet one more time,
That's what I thought.
but I just emailed the chair to say, hey, we don't have an agenda yet for Wednesday, but you gotta provide 24-hour notice, so unless he gets something over to us by 7:30 tomorrow morning, maybe at 7:38, we have a 8-minute delay in our meeting, but right now, that's up in the air. We don't have an agenda yet.
Okay.
So if you, I don't know who coordinates with SMID, but whoever the council liaison
Can work
coordinating with
with
SMID, could they bring up the idea of trying to figure these signs out with SMID? And then who would contact Upper Explorerland? Is that us or SMID for the wayfinding?
It'd be Jeremy, who's on
Okay.
Zoom.
And SMID is typically, I'll
The
fully admit,
funding of
Right.
it.
they're the funding.
Right,
Right,
Typically, they
okay.
just allocate money. They don't necessarily
just downtown, you're on
have
downtown.
assets, they don't set programming, anything, they just, here's the money.
And you're on-
I think we're getting close to talking about an agenda item that isn't on the agenda, so.
Yeah,
But
that's true.
I'm gonna email you, Emily, I'm in support of helping
Okay.
out with this wayfinding project too.
Great, thank you.
Okay.
And that is it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Randy?
Nothing this evening, Mayor.
Okay, I was invited to attend Christmas at Luther, which was really a lot of fun. I appreciated being asked by the president to do so.
What'd you get for Christmas?
I also attended and went to the celebration for the reception of the $10 million to be worked on as far as the Region Center is concerned. Friday night is the Holiday Lights Parade. I think it starts at 6, I'm gonna guess. On Wednesday, December 13th, we will be having a community forum that's sponsored by City and Sustainability Commission. Steve Slesser from Wind Met will be there. I think some of his conversation will be really in relation to the moving of the pharmacy to there. And also Sam Boki from Ossie Haugen will give an update. So just get that information out. Okay, anything else? Okay, move to adjourn. Thank you.